You built it without expecting anything in return. Just a small wooden box, a few screws, a rainy Saturday afternoon, high enough in the oak tree to stay dry. Low enough that you could install it safely because the squirrel in your yard had lost its nest. And after months of watching it race across the fence every morning, show up at the same time for a walnut pause on the same branch before disappearing into the leaves, you couldn't stop thinking about where it slept when the weather turned bad. So you built the house, you attached it to the tree, stepped back, and went inside. You assumed that would be the end of it, but the next morning the squirrel wouldn't leave you alone. It ran toward you, stopped, chattered, then sprinted back toward the tree. Halfway there, it stopped again, turned around, and looked directly at you. When you didn't move, it came back, repeated the same behavior again and again until eventually you followed. And standing beneath that tree, looking up at the little house you'd installed the day before, one impossible question entered your mind. Was the squirrel trying to show you something, or was your human brain simply creating a story where none existed? Welcome back. If you're new here, subscribe before you leave, because what you're about to learn might change the way you interpret some of the strangest moments you experience with wildlife. Today, we're exploring what happens when a wild squirrel discovers that you've helped it. Whether squirrels understand acts of kindness, why some squirrels appear to lead humans, and whether that squirrel in your yard might have been trying to communicate something all along. Stay until the end, because the answer researchers have arrived at is much more complicated and much more beautiful than most people expect. Let's start with the nest itself. Most people assume squirrels simply live in holes in trees, and sometimes they do. But many tree squirrels build what are called drays, large nests made from leaves, twigs, bark, moss, and other natural materials. A well-built dray provides insulation, protection from rain, and a place to raise young, but they're far from permanent. Strong winds can destroy them, heavy storms can damage them, branches fall, entire sections collapse. Researchers studying eastern gray squirrels have found that squirrels often maintain multiple nests within their home range, moving between them depending on weather conditions, predator pressure, and seasonal needs. To us, a squirrel's nest can look like a messy pile of leaves. To the squirrel, it's home, and when that home disappears, the consequences can be serious, especially during winter. Which is why so many backyard wildlife enthusiasts eventually find themselves doing something they never planned on doing. They start helping. A water dish appears near the garden. Extra nesting material gets left beneath the trees, a feeder goes up, then another, and sometimes someone quietly installs a squirrel house, not because they're trying to tame a wild animal, but because they've spent enough mornings sharing the same space that they begin to care. The interesting part is what happens next, because squirrels notice far more than we give them credit for. Studies have shown that squirrels can distinguish between individual humans. They adjust their behavior based on previous interactions. A person who has repeatedly behaved in non-threatening ways can often approach much closer than a stranger. In experiments, squirrels altered their flight distances depending on whether they recognized the person approaching them. They remember, they evaluate, and they learn. Which brings us back to the squirrel beneath the tree, the one running ahead, stopping, looking back, then returning. Could it have been trying to direct your attention? Scientists are extremely cautious when answering questions like this, because anthropomorphism, assigning human thoughts and motivations to animals, can easily lead us astray. But researchers have also become increasingly careful about assuming animals are incapable of more complex social behaviors simply because they don't express them the way humans do. Many mammals use what scientists call referential behaviors, actions intended to influence another individual's attention toward an object or location. Dogs famously do this with humans. Horses sometimes do it. Primates do it regularly. Squirrels haven't been studied nearly as extensively in this area, but anyone who has spent years observing backyard squirrels describes similar moments. The squirrel that repeatedly approaches and retreats. The squirrel that pauses and waits. The squirrel that seems determined to get you to follow. Is it intentional communication? We don't know. And that's what makes these moments so fascinating, because sometimes the most honest answer in science is simply this: we're still learning. But maybe there's another question worth asking, not whether the squirrel was saying thank you, but why that possibility matters so much to us in the first place. Think about what had already happened before that morning. You had become part of the squirrel's environment, not just another human passing through. A familiar face, a predictable routine, a source of safety. Wild squirrels spend their lives making decisions about risk. Who can be ignored? Who should be avoided? Where food appears? Where danger hides? Every day, they update those calculations. And over time, you had ended up on the safe side of the equation. The squirrel wasn't your pet. It still belonged to the trees, to the changing seasons, to the instincts that had guided its species for millions of years, and yet, somewhere inside its understanding of the world, you had become part of it. Which makes what happened next feel so significant, because eventually the squirrel climbed the tree, reached the little wooden house, paused at the entrance, then disappeared inside. Minutes later, its head appeared again, tiny paws gripping the opening, bright eyes scanning the yard below. It didn't understand power tools or measurements, or why you'd spent an afternoon standing on a ladder trying to secure the roof before the rain arrived. But it understood something much simpler. Yesterday, shelter wasn't here. Today, it was. Maybe that was enough. Maybe the squirrel wasn't trying to thank you. Maybe it was simply behaving the way squirrels behave around trusted parts of their environment. Checking, rechecking, making sure everything was as it should be. Or maybe, in whatever way squirrels experience relationships, it wanted the familiar human nearby to see that it had found a safe place again. Science can't answer that question, at least not yet. But perhaps certainty isn't the point, because relationships with wild animals have always existed in that uncertain space. A place where observation meets interpretation, where data meets experience, where facts and feelings sit beside each other without canceling each other out. The squirrel never stopped being wild, and you never stopped being human. But for one brief moment, beneath that tree, both of you were focused on exactly the same thing. A small wooden house, a new shelter, a place that hadn't existed a few days before, and whether the squirrel understood the effort behind it or not, something had changed, not in the squirrel, but in you. Because once you've cared enough about a creature to build a home it may never use, you begin noticing things you never noticed before. The direction of the wind, the strength of the branches, the arrival of storms, the disappearance of old nests, the tiny face watching from high above. The squirrel didn't become more human, you became more aware. And perhaps that's the quiet gift wildlife gives us. Not ownership, not control, just attention. The chance to step outside ourselves long enough to see the world through another pair of eyes. So if you've ever built something for the animals in your yard, a birdhouse, a bat box, a squirrel shelter, I want to know, did they use it? Did they surprise you? Did you ever have a moment that made you stop and wonder if they understood more than we assume they do? Tell me your story in the comments. I read every one, and sometimes those stories remind us that the distance between humans and wild animals isn't measured in feet. It's measured in the moments when both species choose to share the same space. I'll see you in the next one.